Welcome to Week 18 DFS NFL pregame show at Win Daily. I nailed it. It took 18 weeks, Sticks. I nailed the intro. There we go.
Proud of you.
We need to get the house tweet out, Jay, if you're watching. There we go. Some people are starting to filter in. We're going to be going over this ridiculous slate. A lot of teams have something to play for. A lot of teams don't have something to play for. We'll go through any injury concerns. And we'll go through how we're going to win the $1 million today, Sticks. I told you I'm growing out the mustache until I win $1 million. How long are you going to get?
I think it looks great. Hopefully just one day. I was telling DJ behind the scenes, he looks like a better looking Farva. So if everybody agrees with that, just send it in the chat. But week 18, I'm sick again too. Like this weather's been, I feel look ghost white, can barely talk. I'm all stuffed up. I don't understand what's going on this winter, but it's been rough around the household. But it is more rough trying to project these games. I know Jay's been on my ass every single day about like trying to fix the projections a little bit. It is tough. Like a new player that we'd significantly see like a good roll for on a weekly basis gets ruled out every 6 hours. So do you want to give a recap on who's playing for what? Or would you like me to do that? I can look it up. I know I made like a little document.
No, I can do it. I made a little list on the article, which was more of a cheat sheet this week of just teams that have something to play for. So the Falcons obviously have something to play for. I mentioned on the XM show, I don't even know if they win. They're so garbage right now. Commanders have something to play for. Buccaneers have something to play for. Broncos have something to play for. Dolphins have something to play for. Chargers have something to play for, and which would be seeding. And the Green Bay Packers have something to play for. Now, that one to me is the most interesting. That's what I was talking to you about last night, because the Packers projections are low, but they've got seeding to play for. Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't go out and, play their starters, just like the Ravens did last night. I mean,
yeah, it's like the ultimate. It's either that or the ultimate like disrespect for the Bears that they just think the Packers will go up, 3-4 scores and just sit their subs or sit their starters in the second half. It's not like the Bears are going to get their ass kicked. This is a Bears-Packers game. I'm sure the Bears want to ruin whatever they could for the Packers. I know they're still in the playoffs regardless, but Green Bay's a 9.5-point dog at home, which I think is right about proper, but you see Josh Jacobs in the prop market at like 62, 63 rushing yards. Like, what the hell is going on? We usually see him upper 70s, maybe low 80s in a matchup where Green Bay technically needs to win or wants to win. So that it's been a weird week trying to figure it out, but I think going through like the clear value plays, guys that are going to have a full workload at very cheap salaries, we'll identify those guys, and then just going with teams that do have something to play for, you're probably in for a good spot. I'm not as big on the incentives. Like I know Mike Evans is going for a bunch. Cortland Sutton, I think, is going for a $1 million bonus as well. Those mean a lot to me more when the team has to win. They're going to try to win first and probably get those incentives second. Other than that, I'm kind of just narrowing my player pool to a very, very, very small amount of players that I'm interested in playing.
That's what I'm trying to do too, is just narrow it down and try and, hammer the guys I like and the guys that I kind of like, get one of those fringe guys to hit. The player incentives are interesting, but I don't think that they relate to DFS too much, right? So if you look at like Evans incentives, like, is that going to make him the best play on the slate if he hits his incentives? No, not at his price. Cortland Sutton, maybe. Brock Bowers, if he gets there with the catches, maybe. Malik Neighbors, him and Neighbors are going back and forth in the rookie receiving record, maybe. But they're still good plays regardless. So yeah, I'm not too worried about the incentives. I think you can bet more based on incentives, not so much make a DFS lineup based off of incentives, which is probably good for us because I've heard people out there saying they're making like all incentive based lineups. I mean, they might get those incentives, but it doesn't mean they're the best DFS play.
Right. It doesn't get you to, 2 scores, 150 yards. If let's say the Broncos, again, they're playing for something. So maybe a bad example, but let's say they weren't and the incentive was just to get Cortland Sutton 82 yards or whatever it is. And he gets 82 yards for 5 catches and they pull him, then that's not a great DFS play, especially in the 6 case. But yeah, so
I want to mention another one too, Geno Smith, right? So that one is kind of lighting people up because he can make I don't want to get it wrong. I want to say like $5 or $6 million bucks. Might just be 3. I don't know. It's millions of dollars. Like it depends on which incentive list I'm looking at. I don't know. It's a lot of money. So people are like, oh, we got to play Geno. All he has to do is get 185 passing yards, which isn't enough. He has to stay over a 70% completion rate, which is going to help people like JSN and Fant, in my opinion. I think Fant's kind of sneaky, and they have to win the game. And they're playing a team that has nothing to play for. So it's not like that. Those are going to be great DFS numbers. There's no touchdown incentive, 185 passing yards, win the game. That's it.
Yep.
All right. So let's go through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver, tight end, defense. I guess we have to do that this week. I'm going to start with you at quarterback. I know who you're playing, but I want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna fade Baker Mayfield again. I think he's by far the best play on the slate. I heard you talk about him on XM. I just can't afford it. So I'm gonna have a lot of Tampa Bay exposure, just not using Baker Mayfield. I know that was kind of the key to success last week, is just, you could have quad stacked Baker Mayfield and had a hell of a week. But he is by far the best play on the slate. I'm interested in Bo Nix. I just worry about I'm not that worried about KC keeping it close. I think KC will compete in this game. I think Carson Wentz has a lot to prove, and it's still an Andy Reid offense. So I'm not down on KC as much as the public. So I do like Bo Nix. Other than that, like Kyler, I guess, could call his own number to get that rushing touchdown and 50 yards rushing. That is an incentive for him. But again, that's actually probably really good for fantasy when he's only 6K. I'm sure we'll still see him throw for 100, 80 yards plus. So I like Kyler, but I just don't see how you don't play Josh Dobbs at 4K. I hate taking the free square, but his ownership's actually not that crazy. My lineup construction has either been Josh Dobbs or using Garendo. So my main lineup today, this morning, I'm playing small field single entry because I don't see my lineups getting much different. Josh Dobbs is my guy, and then my second low price guy would be Michael Penix, and then a potential honorable mention to Joe Flacco.
Okay, so I've come around more on Dobbs. I wasn't like super high on him last night on the XM show or anything, but 4K is 4K. I mean, going revenge game, whatever. Going up against Arizona, they don't have anything to play for, but for some reason they're playing their starters, I guess. Like, do you think they pull their starters at some point? Like, what are they doing?
I don't understand either, but no, I don't think so. I think we're going to get a full game.
Well, yeah, 4K is 4K. I mean, I was super high on Penix a couple of weeks ago when he was 4K, and he did essentially nothing. He got 9 DraftKings points, yet he won someone $1 million. So they just don't have to do much there. And I mean, look, if Baker busts because the running backs are going nuts like we saw last time they played the Saints, or they're up, we're now at a point where if they're up 28, like, Baker's getting pulled. I mean, they're going into the playoffs, which is a real thing that can happen against the Saints, even 21, like late in the fourth. Yeah, so a little bit of worry there. You can spin down, take Dobbs. Good. I'm with you on Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels, I think, is interesting. I do love the matchup for Jaden Daniels going up against these outside corners for Dallas. It's probably my favorite spot to target on the slate with either Zacchaeus or Terry McLaurin. So I get the Jaden Daniels love for sure. Does Dallas keep that one close? I don't know. Potentially Daniels gets pulled at the end of the game too, because he's been dealing with injuries all season. Took a hard hit last week too, I want to say, when they beat my Atlanta Falcons like a drum in overtime. Drew Lock, fine. So these are the obvious ones, right? What about Jordan Love under 1% owned in a game where I expect him to play the whole time?
Yeah. It's interesting. I love that you're hunting for absolute leverage plays because I'm seeing less than 1% own Jordan Love in the sources I'm looking at. I don't know. I don't understand why Vegas thinks that game is so bad. It's gonna be cold up there, but the weather's fine. It's not like crazy windy or anything like that. So I don't know. It's just not a spot that I've found myself making a lineup in. And again, I'm not getting very different this week, and that worries me. But I feel like for me personally, and again, maybe advice to everybody out there listening, like, don't push the needle this week if you don't have a good read for the slate. My historic results are great on small slates, so I love the first 2 weeks of the NFL playoffs. So I'm trying to save a little bit more bankroll, go pretty heavy at that, and kind of, for the most part, play chalk. There's one running back I love this weekend. I think will be crazy different, but other than that, I'm gonna play Dobbs or Penix, or maybe Kyler Murray is my number 3. But yeah, I'm out on Geno. But I feel like Flacco too. Like, dude, he's just gonna chuck the ball. I hate Joe Flacco, but he gets fantasy points.
Yeah, he got him late last week. He got 21. That was my top quarterback, Baker Mayfield, number 2. I ended up playing Baker and having a decent day. I mean, that was just awesome. That was a short slate. You had to have like 4 or 5 Buccaneers. Darnell, you brought up Penix. Darnell Mooney is more doubtful. I haven't seen him completely ruled out. Let's see. Ian Rappaport. Darnell Mooney listed as questionable with a shoulder injury, is considered a long shot to play today. So that's going to force Kaderil Hodge into the starters. And I don't think Penix is got his dude yet. So I'm not saying play Kaderil Hodge, but I'm saying he should spread it out. I think it helps Michael Pitts. I mean, we've seen, Michael Pitts hasn't been great, but
Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, yeah. Kyle Pitts, he hadn't been great, but we've seen that Penix has been willing to give him, 2 red zone targets. I think the past 2 weeks, dropped one or fumbled it, whatever it was, tipped it, and it got returned. And then he got a big touchdown last week against the Commanders. So I think it does help Pitts, and it helps.
I think it helps Pitts a ton.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, I don't want to skip to tight end real quick, but this is in my main lineup concern: Zach Ertz or Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
I think Kyle Pitts has more upside.
Yeah, like Ertz isn't going to get his incentive. Like I think they just give up on that pretty quick. I think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's in Daniel's ear. I mean, it's a significant amount of money. He's got to get 2 touchdowns, though. He got 2 touchdowns last week, 1 in overtime.
2 touchdowns and 9 receptions.
I don't think he's getting 9 receptions.
That would be insane, right? I mean, that's a huge fantasy day if he does.
I think I probably Ertz still, because you're going up against Carolina with a rookie quarterback. Like maybe you just keep running the ball with Algier and Bijan and try and beat these guys. And, everyone's like super high on Penix. I like Penix a lot too, but some of those throws last week were garbage throws. Like some were bad, some were good, but some were like really bad, missing wide open guys. So I'd probably still take Ertz.
Fair.
Which someone was asking me too, like earlier today, about J.K. Dobbins. I wrote him up in the week 1 article. Someone was asking me about Baker, wrote him up in the week article. You remember my tight end in the week 1 article was Zach Ertz. So maybe I just run it back from week 1. I don't know.
I'm in. All right, cool. I'm keeping Ertz in there.
All right, let's go over to running back. Let me move. Do we have any questions popping up? Let me move my stuff around.
Nothing crazy. First one was just Nix to Sutton or Baker to Evans. I said if price doesn't matter, Baker to Evans.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Running back, chalk guys, Bijan Robinson. I love him. I'm going to play a ton of him going against Carolina. Like it's pretty obvious. Again, week 18, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We know where it's going to be going. It's going to Bijan up the gut of the Carolina Panthers. Other guys coming in at high percent owned, Bucky Irving going up against New Orleans, 7.7. If I have to fade Bijan or Bucky, it's going to be Bucky for me.
Yep, same. And that's like, I know we do see Algier a little bit too, but that RB1 role has gone through Bijan Robinson and will go through Bijan Robinson the rest of the way. Bucky Irving, he's a superstar. I get it. He's like, his breakaway ability is there every single play, and he is fast as hell. But 7,700, Rashad White's not dead. That game could get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yes.
It could go all through Baker because it seems like he's like the new Aaron Rodgers. When he's in the red zone, he's throwing the football and stacking up touchdowns. I'm not saying Bucky's a bad play, but yes, if I had to choose Bijan or Bucky, I am choosing Bijan 100 times out of 100. And
I think
all my lineup, Bijan is there.
I put up Bucky number 2, but the more I've thought about it this morning, I think it could be bad chalk. Because I think Tampa Bay wins this pretty easy. Bucky's been beat up. He was even limping a little bit last week too. You've got 3 running backs that can run the ball. This was the Sean Tucker game when they played New Orleans earlier in the year, where he dropped like 34 fantasy points. Someone won a ton of money. White was in the doghouse a little bit last week. Maybe he's more involved here. Like, you don't need 3 touchdowns out of Bucky Irving against the Saints. You need maybe 1 and then let someone else do it. Mike Evans is getting 1. McMillan's probably getting 1. Payne Durham's in there. Like, I don't know. Bucky Irving is close to bad chalk for me.
Yep.
Who's your dude? Who's your dude you were hinting at earlier?
My dude, I've always been a fan of him. I like the spot. I have him projected for 3 catches, and this was part of the hard part of getting these projections done. Is I thought that's a little high, and you can't see player props for him because no one's going to post them. Samaje Perine.
Mm-hmm. I looked at him.
Unrestricted free agent next year. I know he's more of a passing down back with Kansas City. He is an absolute tank. I think that he's playing for a new contract. He's still relatively young. I don't think he'll be back with the Kansas City Chiefs next year. I don't think we're going to see Carson steal a ton. I think Samaje Perine at 4,500 is a very interesting play. And especially like if Denver does go up big, we're game script proof here with P. Ryan because he won't leave the field because he is a pass catching down back. But I still think he gets 10 to 12 carries, and if he gets 4 or 5, 6 targets, 3+ receptions for 4,500, he could certainly beat a chalky Michael Carter, which is very interesting that many people are going to just play Michael Carter all of a sudden. So give me Samaje P. Ryan playing for a contract.
Interesting call. Don't hate it at all. I'll mix a little bit in. You brought up Michael Carter, 4.7K, 30% owned ish. I actually think he is a pretty good play. You brought up the concern earlier with Kyler Murray calling his own number at the goal line, which I do think will happen. So that scares me a little bit, but Michael Carter's been okay. Are you off him?
He's in my cash game lineup and potentially my main, like the 150 single entry, like the 150 people. I think I don't need to get that different there, but in large fields, I'm swapping that out for Samaje Perine. And Trey Lance, love this from Sia. Thank you, Sia, breaking the good news out there. But Trey Lance, does Trey Lance interest you at all at the quarterback position now that he is a cheap player?
I didn't think he was gonna. I came into it thinking he wasn't going to play the full game. I thought we'd get some Cooper Rush. What is he? Probably 4K, Trey Lance.
I would think so.
4.7 against Washington. I mean, it's tough to know what to do with him, right? Like,
would you rather play him or Dobbs?
Dobbs.
Yeah, that's hard for me. I feel like I would for the ownership. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Sia, what are you thinking? Dobbs or Trey Lance?
I mean, does that mean to you Trey Lance is playing the whole game? I guess it does. It means he's going to get the whole game. Yeah.
He's playing for a contract too.
I just want to fade Trey Lance out of because everyone loved the dude coming into the league. I want to fade him out.
Shanahan especially.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. You get outplayed by Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess it was at the time. I think so. Definitely Brock Purdy. Other running backs to go through here. Are you playing Jonathan Taylor?
I want to, but no. I can't afford both running backs at that price. So I'm playing Bijan and just calling it a day and paying up for wide receiver.
Tony Pollard, 6.2K.
Was very, very, very interested in him, and he did fit a lineup. My second one, I love Tony Pollard. I think that they absolutely try to get him as much of what his incentives are relatively easy, right?
He needs 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think they could force feed him. They're playing Houston's subs. I do like him, and he's not going to leave the field if Tajay Spears is obviously out with his injury. So I like him. And he's cheap.
One would think he's cheap, 6'2". I mean, I've been pretty high on Pollard too. One thing that's concerning me a little bit about that Tennessee game is that they plan to alternate quarterbacks.
Yeah, that is very. What are they doing? Let's talk about that for a quick second. What is the purpose? Do you really need to see more Mason Rudolph or Will Levis? Like, they're both not the answer.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Trevor Simeon's on this roster too? He's not the answer either. I don't know why they're doing that, man. But to me, that's just kind of like, does that mean? Well, they were alternating quarterbacks. Did they do it a little bit last game too? Does that mean they're pulling Calvin Ridley at some point? Does that mean Chestnut's going to get in and get some rushing attempts? I mean, I don't know what this means. Does it mean Okongwu, who's questionable already, is going to get subbed out for Nick Van Nett or Wiley more than usual? Like, I don't know. Does that impact Pollard? Do they, care that much about getting him as incentive? It might be like, hey, here's your, 12 carries. Like, do what you can do with them. I don't know.
That's a good call. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think they're going to, it's not like, okay, now we have to get Tony Pollard, if he can't get there with 20 touches, he's getting 30. I don't think it's something like that. But Tony Pollard is good, and it's a great matchup against Houston backup, 6,200. Like, I mean, I'm going to have some, but it's a little worrisome.
I'm really trying to make this just one lineup. If you had to play Trey Lance, who are you stacking him with?
I don't.
Fergie?
I'm probably not playing Trey Lance, but if I did, hold on, I'll tell you.
They spread out the wide receiver routes like crazy last week. Everybody played. Obviously not CD, but Tolbert played. Brooks played. Kevontae Turbin played a lot. I like him. Ryan Flournoy played. Jonathan Mingo, for some reason, they believe in. Brady Cooks. Like,
I probably, like, from what I can tell here, I probably want to avoid the slot now, which that it's still like they move around. Like Cooks and Tolbert should both be in there. It's a tough call, honestly. So
Kevontae Turbin can blow the doors off of any secondary.
he's got the
guy.
I'm looking at him too. I mean, he's got the highest target share of Turpin, Cooks, and Tolbert, but again, it's like that doesn't really count with the Cowboys because he's not on the field as much as the other dudes, and he wasn't sharing the field as much with CeeDee Lamb. He's got the highest yards per route run. Turpin
and he never did it with Trey Lance.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I don't know. I think Washington defense steps up too. I mean, look, they've got to win, so it's not just the offense that has to destroy the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are terrible. And they're starting Trey Lance, for God's sakes. Like, they might get one touchdown. I'm not playing Trey Lance, but
Rustling paving, as Ghost would say, for all your paving and concrete needs. Ray Davis did look very interesting for me. I just hit my issue there is I don't know, is he the RB3 and he will play a lot in the sub game? Or is Ty Johnson like what? I don't understand their whole rotation. Ty Johnson's like their clear passing down back,
right?
In games they need to win, but also plays in blowouts too. So it's very confusing there. Do you have any love for Ray Davis?
I love Ray Davis as a player, but like, why would he is Cook's backup, right? So if Cooks were to get hurt in the playoffs, that it's going to be Ray Davis. Correct. So there's really no need to go out there and give the dude 4 quarters, in my opinion. Like, I think he can break a big one. Hell, he can break 2 big ones, but like, why wouldn't you pull him after the half? You don't need guys that can help contribute in the playoffs out there on the field.
Fair.
That doesn't mean that the coaches are going to do it. But I don't know. That's just the way I think about it. Anyone else?
Garendo, maybe Tyrone Tracy, Rico Dowdle, I think is going to be decently popular. I don't know if that'll swap now to Trey Lance being quarterback if some people start to tinker lineups and go towards Trey Lance and take away ownership from Dowdle. But I do see a decent amount of the public interested in Garendo, Tyrone Tracy, and Dowdle.
Yeah, Garendo is interesting for me. I probably don't want him in my Dobbs lineups though. Right. 5,900, like, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, he had his best game against Chicago, who you can definitely run on against the Rams. I don't know. Did he get dinged up in that one? He was just okay against Detroit. Tough to run on. Easier now, but he's just okay. 5,900. It's not like screaming value or anything to me. He's on the list. Devon Achane.
Out.
They got to win. Miami's got to win.
I'm out. 7,200. I'm just
yeah. Okay, that's fair. And Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is the sneakiest one. He's so cheap. They're gonna play. Yeah. Why
your whole Packers angle is just completely underowned or unowned, not even underowned. No one's playing any of them, myself included. Like, I think that's a landmine for me. Is if the Packers team, like, it seems obvious, just play them. They have a very high implied team total too, so it's like. They have the highest implied team total on this slate. No, second, right behind Tampa. But yet none of their players have any good props. I don't understand what's going on there.
I think no one's been talking about it. The public doesn't realize it. Like, the public's dumb. There yesterday, like, I was looking at, Zay Flowers gets hurt yesterday, and I go and look at the comments, and it's like, that's why you rest your starters. It's like, you're going for the AFC North Championship. You're not resting your starters. You're trying to position your better in the playoffs. Like, people think that, like, once you're in the playoffs, you should just rest starters. Now, does Matt LaFleur think like that? Is he going to be like, we got to, that'd be the, I don't know, just giving up, in my opinion. Like, if you can get a better spot in the playoffs, you should go for it. You're not just happy with getting into the playoffs. So there's no reason that the Packers shouldn't be out here playing, like, and you can run all over the Bears. Now, 8,100's a lot, but what's he going to be, like 1% owned? Jacobs, where's he at?
Yeah.
5% owned.
It'll be lower than that.
Yeah.
If anybody has like that type of salary, they're going to Jonathan Taylor. Otherwise, everybody's going up to Bijan. And I find it hard to believe with the ownership at the upper tier at the wide receiver position that people can play Bijan and Josh Jacobs.
Jason Mizrahi said, just added the Zacchaeus ladder on the site and Discord. Yeah, brother, that's going to hit. I love Zacchaeus. I love Terry McLaurin. We fucking nailed last night. Pat Fryermuth ladder.
That was beautiful. It took a little bit. I was sweating that one out for a little bit. Then he took over in the second half there.
Dude, I think we talked about Pat Fryermuth on the XM show for like an hour and 15 minutes last night. It's like all we talked about. And he goes out and has a great game. Yeah, Zacchaeus is a great play. I don't know. I think that's about all the running backs. You can mix in some J.K. Dobbins if you want. Fine. I mean, my pool is pretty small. I'm not taking any like huge stabs here at running back. I don't know. The cheapest
you're not playing Miles Sanders.
No, I'm not.
He has been activated. I love Miles Sanders in general. I just don't understand what happened to him, why he never really panned out.
Well, I can tell you, because he wasn't good for like the first 80% of his career. And then he got that one good season behind the best offensive line in the game with Jalen Hurts playing at an MVP level, being able to spread out the ball, making them have to respect the pass more. So he goes out and has a good game, a good season. But you'll remember the season before his good season, before he got traded to Carolina, he finished with 0 rushing touchdowns.
I probably drafted him that year in fantasy.
Yeah,
he's the guy I just couldn't quit for the longest time, and this year I was allowed to quit him because he kind of quit. The team quit him, and now he's back this week at 4K stone minimum. I can't imagine he gets that much playing time being gone that long. Like, guys don't sit for 6 weeks and then just come back on the field and get a full workload. So I'm out. I want to be it, but I'm out.
Eddie, we'll talk about defenses here in a minute. I see you in the Discord. It's hard to take questions here, do Discord questions, do a show, all that at the same time, but we will get to defense, and I'll come back and check it after the show has concluded. I don't know. Let's go over to wide receiver. Like, do you think okay, single entry, you're playing Mike Evans. Cash games, you're playing Mike Evans. GPP, 5,000 man, you playing Mike Evans?
Probably. I'm okay in a 5,000 person tournament. Absolutely. Like, I'm fine with fading him. I think there's so many different guys that can get up to that level. For the same reason we're not like completely in love with Bucky Irving is the same reason I'm not like completely in love with Mike Evans. There are multiple wide receivers on the slate who could match his performance. A guy like Drake London could get the same type of performance. I just don't see how New Orleans keeps it close. If New Orleans keeps it close and you like feel that game can go back and forth, I think you want all the Mike Evans you could possibly have. Having said that, for AK, it's like, all right, he gets his incentive, 6 receptions, 85 yards, or whatever it is. I don't know the exact number, but it's not over 100. But if he doesn't get in the box 2 or 3 times, which certainly can happen, it's happened every single game, it seems like the last couple of weeks, there are multiple guys that can match his performance for way cheaper and make your lineup a lot better. So I personally think this Atlanta-Carolina game will be close. It sounds like you're even leaning towards Carolina has like significant win equity in this game.
Yeah, I'm just talking shit, but it could happen.
Especially with Mooney out too. Like, I know we said that's a little bit of an upgrade to Kyle Pitts in our opinion. Like, Drake London has a 30% target share with Penix. So, dude, it feels so weird saying Penix. Is it Penix or
You're
Penix?
saying it's Penix. You're saying it a little odd.
Okay, so I'm like hybrid of Penis and Penix.
Yeah.
All right, got it. Penix, much better. Like, I could see Drake London having the same type of game that Mike Evans has. I could see Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas going absolutely nuts because that's just what those guys do. And I think both of them are playing for that similar rookie record that Brock Bowers is, or is it just Neighbors?
I think
Brian Thomas has to be well below, right, in receptions.
I think it's just Neighbors and Thomas going after it, but let me not Neighbors and Bowers going after it. Let me look.
Yeah, like I'm okay not playing Mike Evans, but it's like, what do you do then? Because you probably need some sort of key contributor for Tampa Bay, and like McMillan's fine, Bucky's fine. Like, if you're not playing Mike Evans, are you playing Bucky, or are you going to make a lineup without both of them?
See, that's the thing. It's like, do you just force a Tampa Bay guy? And like, obviously last week that was the answer, but it was an 8-game slate as well. I mean, but I still will probably.
Jason's putting Ricky Pearsall's Wikipedia definition in the chat.
What does it say?
Ricky Pearsall, right here.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the rookie stuff.
It's great.
Bowers has 108 receptions, 1,144 yards. Neighbors, what's that?
Absolute beast, by the way. I'd feel short answer. I'd rather play Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors than Mike Evans and someone a little bit less.
Okay. You can tell how good my internet is because I've been trying to look at 3 player totals. Neighbors has 104 receptions, so definitely him and Bowers are going after it. And then, Brian Thomas only has 80 receptions.
Okay, so it's Neighbors, yeah.
Yeah. It in the builds this year that have been winning, I mean, it really hasn't been the spend up wide receivers. Like the point you're making about the guys that you can get to, just stacking like stud mid-tier range receivers. At least I think that was your point you were making. Like
Yes.
even your guys like McConkey, Terry McLaurin, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Adam Thielen, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Like these are all dudes under 7K that you can just, fill out your lineup with there, and you don't have to jam Mike Evans at 8,000. Although it's, a fantastic spot, he's going to have a good game, but that doesn't mean guys cheaper than him won't also have a good game. So, all right.
Do the Chargers still have to win though? Is that a thing?
Yeah. It's the same position that Green Bay's in. Like it affects their seeding.
Okay, I thought if Cincinnati won, it didn't matter. I hate Week 18, but it is kind of wild.
No, they still have to play for seeding. That's what I thought last night too, but I was corrected.
Understood.
All right. I'm losing my train of thought here. All right. Other wide receivers. So I love the Washington guys, Terry McLaurin and Zacchaeus. So if you look on the how the Cowboys cover the outside of the field, not so much the slot. I mean, they just get killed out there, especially with the corners that they have to roll out this week. Terry McLaurin was dealing with an ankle injury and was doing some rest stuff. He got stopped last week. I feel like that had more to do with the injury, but also, good coverage from AJ Terrell of the Atlanta Falcons. One of these guys is going off, Terry McLaurin or Zacchaeus. So it's hard to pick which one because I don't know if their routes look so similar, but where they play on which side of the field looks so similar. Do you have any interest in these Washington guys, or are you just going to go to Ertz, or would you do like a little Jaden Daniels stack?
I would play Terry McLaurin if I'm going to play any of them. Otherwise, I'm okay with Zacchaeus or Ertz for value.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play McLaurin and Zacchaeus, but I'd play McLaurin and Ertz or Zacchaeus and Ertz.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton, I love him this week.
All right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I'm just having such a hard time figuring out, is Evans a must, or would you rather play, again, same thing. If I play Evans, I can't afford Sutton because I am prioritizing Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. Would you just get rid of Mike Evans and go Cortland Sutton and pay up for running back? Because otherwise, you're going to fall into the trap of the Michael Carters of the world. And maybe he is a good play. That's fine. But I don't love him.
Mike Evans has to score twice to be an optimal today. I don't think 100 and a touchdown does it.
You're right. I agree.
But that doesn't mean he can't. But I don't think he's going out and getting 175 or anything, But he could easily get 2 touchdowns.
I feel like I'd rather have Drake London than Cortland Sutton.
Which, by the way, this is the first game that Evans is playing New Orleans where they don't have Marshawn Lattimore. If you want to go watch some good fight highlights of those two. So he does
Drake London or Cortland Sutton for you?
Cortland Sutton.
Really? All right.
Yeah. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, I like the other pass catchers as well too. My sneaky wide receiver of the day,
Mims.
Nope.
Oh,
Devon Vele.
You always like him. You got a good read on him.
I like him this week too. So he's going to be going up against what I'm going to have to consider is the worst starting corner for the Chiefs who are resting their guys today. The slot. So he runs most of his routes out of the slot, 69% nice.
Yeah.
And we know that the Broncos are trying to win. Now, I think Cortland Sutton gets his receptions. People are on Mims because he dropped 35 or whatever he did last week. But I think Devon Vele is a sneaky GPP guy that you can play. It's a good play. His receiving prop is dumb low, by the way. I would go bet that too. It's 18 receiving yards.
I like that. I got him for upper 20s, almost 30.
Do you really? I saw that on Prize Picks, so I'm going to hammer that after I get off of here. Hopefully it doesn't move too much.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I have Bailey for 37 yards.
Really?
That's kind of throttled.
Great.
Yeah. Bailey over Mims. I don't know. I love Marvin Mims, and he was my key player in that Saturday slate last week. I don't love chasing the production, though.
Yeah, it's not a bad matchup for him either. It's not a bad matchup for any of these guys. But I don't know I'm trying to pick a sneaky guy. I'll pick Vele. That's cool. Vele and Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus isn't that sneaky after what he's been doing recently.
Do we
rounding
any
out
news?
what?
Any? No, you're good. I would just say like for Trey Lance, if there's any stackable guys, but we kind of already touched on that. Any love for like DK Metcalf, or are you all JSN? Because again, like people are going to play Geno Smith.
I'd take Jason and I like Fant.
Okay, that's sneaky.
Yeah, Fant and JSN, because you just have to assume that he's going to be, he's got to keep his completion percentage high, higher than 70. So what are you going to do if you're Geno Smith? I mean, you're going to dump it down so you can get some, get some dump offs to JSN, who's excelled in that, and you can throw it to your tight ends.
Yeah, and it seems like Vegas is buying into Jawan Jennings. I just want to mention his name. Ownership's pretty high on him. Price is fantastic at 5,800. And yes, as an LD4 says here, needs like 77 yards for 1,000 yards and gets some sort of bonus with that too. And I believe Jay said that he played college football with Josh Dobbs.
He did play college football with Josh Dobbs, but again, 77 yards doesn't make it optimal.
For 5,800 though, that's we're getting close. We're getting close to that.
Yeah, but he's the wide receiver one in San Francisco now. Like, do we really think he's going to game, or he's going to get 77 yards and get the hell off the field?
No.
I mean, why would you do that? Why would you play your wide receiver one the last meaningless game of the season after you dealt with what was probably behind the Detroit Lions the worst injuries of any NFL team?
Yeah, very true.
Now, Ricky,
too.
Yeah, well, I was talking with Jason about that last night, and I mean, Jason made a good point. Like, he is a rookie. Like, you want to get the rookie some. It's not like he played significant snaps the entire season at all. I mean, he's had like two usable games in DFS, and he got shot in the chest at the beginning of the season. So, like, I don't know. That makes more sense to get him out there.
Yeah. All right. Any of the, I know you guys touched on it on XM, but the values that are getting a little bit of ownership, like Jordan Whittington for the Rams. Devontae Turbin, I think, has a little bit of legs for Dallas. That's a guy I'm interested in. Other than that, I think I'm out on Whittington. I don't need to do that. Maybe Juju Smith-Schuster plays a ton and is the wide receiver one for Carson Wentz today. Not going to roll the dice there, even if it is, and have fun with Patrick Surtain. Maybe Juju stays inside and Justin Watson, I guess, could go outside. I don't know. When we're guessing, I'm pretty much out. And I still think we're guessing with Jordan Whittington, despite the ownership being in the 10% range.
I think you're guessing with Whittington too. I mean, it could easily be like Tyler Johnson, or maybe they let Tutu play. He'll probably be the first one out, Tutu. I have someone else, and I can't remember his name, and I'm trying to log in and see all my stuff. Hold on.
I don't mind Trey Lance.
Other values that I'm looking at here while I try and pull this up would be like Quentin Johnson. I think it's okay. Excuse me. Dontavian Wicks is, I think, interesting if you just look at like primary matchups and no one playing Green Bay Packers for whatever reason. MVS has a incentive, but he doesn't have a quarterback, so that's going to be tough for him.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Adam Thielen while I pull this up. It's a great spot for Thielen too. I like him quite a bit.
I think that game has back and forth ability, and that's probably the one that has the least amount of question marks. I want Drake London. I think I like him more than Courtland Sutton. Bijan's, I think we're both going to say, is an absolute lock. His rushing prop is now at 100 yards, which is fantastic. He's going to get 2 or 3 receptions. Kyle Pitts, we think, is decently sneaky. Darnell Mooney, it sounds like, is doubtful or out. I think Atlanta's secondary sucks. And Adam Thielen continues to get it done. He's 6,200, probably not going to leave the field. Carolina needs to spoil this for the Falcons. I think that game makes the most sense for me to stack up as the 3-2 stack and stuff like that. I love that game.
I found it. I'm in. I'm finally in. Oh, Greg Dortch. I had Greg Dortch as a good cheap guy too. again, I don't know why they would play. Dortch is a starter, I guess, right? Ish. Best on paper matchup for me for a value wide receiver on the slate. Just a little concerned about the volume, but Greg Dortch is a sleeper for me. Greg Dortch is a guy that goes and wins people a lot of money. The punt guys you asked about, Johnny Wilson. I'll take a shot on Johnny Wilson.
Big dude. He is a big dude. He's like 6'7". I like that. Dude, I was interested in EJ Jenkins. He was going to be my sleeper tight end of the week, and then they activated Goddard. I don't know if Goddard's going to play just to kind of get back in the rhythm, or if Calcaterra is now the backup and he's going to play a lot. That whole situation I was interested in until they activated Goddard. Then I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. I mean, but you're still playing like this could be a sneaky shootout game, honestly. I mean, Philadelphia is resting their starters. You know, they've got a vet quarterback. Is it Pickett is confirmed starting?
I think it's McKee.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was thinking it was
so.
Pickett. I don't even know what a McKee is. I don't even know if he's good or not. Is he good? He's 5K.
He's tall. That's all I know.
Has he got one of those?
He's starting. The Stanford dude. He looked all right. He threw a great ball to, I think, AJ Brown, that go route.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so give me a little Johnny Wilson. Someone's gonna have to score from that game. They're still going up against the Giants. Giants suck. I mean, Dotson, I consider Dotson, but I know he's not any good. But are they gonna play him the whole game? Like, is he the wide receiver 1 against the Giants today?
I don't know.
He has 12 receptions on the year.
Yeah, we're guessing again, so I'm out.
He looks sad.
Mooney is ruled out. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that.
Pitt season?
It's him or Ertz in my main lineup, and it's pissing me off.
Hey, put them both in there.
Pitts. I just feel like Pitts has more upside. Like Zach Ertz has a significantly higher floor, but if we're looking for a tight end to score 2 touchdowns and 60 yards, Kyle Pitts can hit that much easier in a competitive game with Carolina than whatever's going to happen in Dallas. It is in Dallas, right? Yeah, fuck. I like Trey Lance, son of a bitch.
Okay, let's go to tight end. We got 12 minutes left. I think I am bumping up. Look, Brock Bowers, I think that's pretty easy, right? Like they're going to throw him the ball. But playing in a game against the Chargers who have a good defense, right? And like, they're going to be like, hey, maybe we stop Brock Bowers, who's going for a rookie catch record, and we need to win this game, and they can't beat us any other way. So, let's not let this guy score. Like, that seems like a pretty clean path to me. I like the guys that we mentioned so far, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz, they're good. Like them, mentioned them. But a guy we haven't, or would like him, guy we haven't mentioned, Jonnu Smith.
No, if I'm paying up, I'm playing Bowers. Otherwise, I'm going to, Zach Ertz, Kyle Pitts. Don't hate Ferguson. And then going down to, like, honestly, like Peyton Hendershot makes sense for Kansas City. Like, that offense does use the tight end a ton. He's probably going to be on. Again, that's more of an educated guess. Like Kittle, like how long does Kittle play? I don't like.
He might not even play.
Okay, so yeah, we don't know, and it's tough to late swap a 6K tight end, right? Is Jonnu an afternoon game or no?
425.
Okay, they are. So yeah, if Kittle's penciled in your lineup and he bails, you could just swap to Jonnu Smith for $200 less. So it's not the worst thing, but
yeah. So look, no Tua, we know that. Playing with Huntley, like, we've seen it before. He scored last week, which is fine. Remember, this is the guy that I wrote up when they were coming off the bye week and he got all the extra practice in with Huntley. I want to say it was, and he had a big game there. And he had some stuff coming out about how they felt snubbed. None of the Miami Dolphins, yada, yada, made the Pro Bowl, whatever. And they also are playing in a game that they have to win. So like Tyreek Hill showed up last week with Huntley. I think Jonnu's number 1 or number 2 still in that offense as far as targets are going to go today. So I like Jonnu Smith. No one's going to play him. Dolphins sneaky. He's not better than Brock Bowers. He's not better than Ertz or even Pitts at this point. But GPP, I'll play him.
Yep.
Cade Stover. What do you say?
Hard pass. was it Davis Mills is playing quarterback today?
Yeah, he is.
I think
My
Irv
buddy's
Smith.
sister
I
is
think
married to Davis Mills.
really
Mm-hmm.
nice. He seems like a good dude.
I've never met him, but I do know that happened. All right, let's just go through these positions again. Our defense, real quick.
All of them.
Yeah, right. That's the right answer.
Like not playing New Orleans defense. Let's scratch them off. I think they certainly can go negative. Vegas. It sounds like the Chargers are going to play their starters no matter what.
Good.
So I was interested in them. Probably not anymore. I'll always play the Bears. I don't know why I have a soft spot for them, but Green Bay's got a crazy high implied team total. That's probably playing with fire. I don't hate the New York Giants. If Philly's going to play those type of guys, Bobby Okereke, I think, is good to go. Brian Burns is going to play. I feel like the Giants have at least like sack ability.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no Saquon. There's no one playing for Philly. It literally is a preseason team. I'll go with the Giants as my favorite play for points per dollar. Otherwise, I guess Denver.
Sure.
Washington. I mean, if they're motivated to win, Trey Lance certainly can suck.
I'm with you.
I'm not paying up,
so
I don't even want to talk on expensive defenses because I'm probably playing the Giants or Chicago. I don't know.
I don't play Chicago. I
don't want to.
I think not the Giants. The KC Broncos game, like you said, could be interesting as well. I mean, they've got vets going out there playing some key offensive positions, you could say quarterback, running back with P. Ryan. I don't know who even wide receiver. You got some vets out there. I imagine Watson going to play?
Christian Watson?
I believe he's out. Let's see.
I projected him.
Justin Watson.
Oh, Justin Watson. Yeah, he's going to play.
Smith-Schuster?
Yes, I would assume that he'll play. He's got to be like wide receiver 4.5 or 5 on that team now.
Yeah, it's going to be against the full go Denver team, Denver defense. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about here. And by the way, the officials, they love the Chiefs too. So maybe the Chiefs pull off the upset, and maybe that what means the Bengals get in the playoffs. Something else falls for them. Defenses that I'm playing. I mean, I'll just read you a list real quick: Chargers, Seahawks, Bucks, Broncos, Falcons, Commanders, Giants. That's who I've got right now.
I like it.
All right. Favorite quarterback on the slate for you?
Dude, I'm interested in rolling the dice on Trey Lance. I would say Josh Dobbs, though, for cash games.
Yep.
For tournaments, I don't know. You can't get like I really want to play Kyler Murray. Tournaments, I'm gonna go Trey Lance. It's fucking disgusting. I hate this week.
Who does Sia like? Sia, who's your quarterback? You've been nailing the hell out of those. Albert's asking any word on Kittle status. I doubt he plays. I don't know why you would. D-Hop has an incentive from Jason. I think it's unattainable though. Yeah, I'm with Dobbs as my favorite GPP and cash quarterback. I mean, he's just too cheap. I mean, he's 4K. Like it works. If you're not going to play him, Mayfield, Daniels, Bo Nix. Favorite running back on the slate, not named Bijan Robinson.
Not named Bijan Robinson. All right. That's tough. I guess I would say Bucky. I really, really, really want to push heavy on Tony Pollard.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh my God.
You just have to hope he doesn't get pulled or injured. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'm not playing Will Shipley. I do think Samaje Perine has some run here. I want Perine.
All right. I'll take Tony Pollard then. Thanks for setting that one up for me. And I think I think Josh Jacobs is just getting slept on. He's 8.1, so I get why you actually wouldn't do that.
It's too expensive, yeah.
It's too expensive. I mean, yeah, he's too expensive. You're right. Tony Pollard for me. Wide receiver, not named Mike Evans. Give me a couple if you want, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, absolutely love them. I really like Drake London a ton. I think you don't necessarily need leverage off of Bijan Robinson. I think you could play them both. Both of these guys have to be extremely active in that offense today for Atlanta to win. I love Drake London. I'm okay with Adam Thielen. I think it makes a ton of sense. He's on a heater. Carolina should try to ruin this for him. I like Ricky Pearsall, Devontae Turbin. I'm cool with, obviously Cortland Sutton, but my favorite is probably going to be Malik Neighbors.
You familiar with Tyrell Shavers?
Yeah, he's tall as hell, isn't he? I want to say I watched a little bit of him.
He's
Buffalo
3K.
guy, right?
Yeah,
6'4".
3K going up against New England.
Mitch Trubisky. Let's go.
Yeah. He threw him didn't he throw him a touchdown last week?
He did. It was an absolute bomb. Shavers is a big dude. Yeah, 6'4". And he's fast.
So you can mix him in as your some of your cheap guys here. I'll just rattle off some wide receivers. There's a lot to like here. I'll try and name guys you didn't. Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin. Hello. Zacchaeus, like them. Devon Vele is my cheap guy, 3.9K. And who's that big bastard that I mentioned? I can't remember. Johnston on the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm losing it today. Johnny Wilson for the Eagles. It's week 18. Like I'm having a tough time staying concentrated.
I'm excited.
I forget people are watching this, and I'm just talking.
What do you think about Michael Carter? Is he a must for the value?
I'm gonna have a lot.
Okay.
I mean, like the way I put it last night on the XM show too, it was like any other week he is 80% owned, right? But just because you have so much going on this week, then maybe some people will sleep on the cheap starting running back who has played pretty good for when he's got the opportunity. Michael Carter, he was on the Jets, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, 47 starting running back. I don't really have a problem with it. 13 attempts last week, 70 yards. I didn't watch it, to be fair. Caught 2 of 2 balls. Why not? Just wouldn't play him with Murray.
All right.
Tight end.
Zach Ertz, Kyle Pitts.
I'm with you on Ertz and Pitts. Aside
and
from
then
those,
Hendershot is going to be my value. Is he popular? Can you see? I feel like he's something optimizers won't push a ton of.
I'll look. Let's see.
I mean, I have him for 7 points at the 80 medal right now.
Showing
So
him
for 2,500, that's not bad at all.
Like 7% owned is what I'm saying.
No, just actual 7 points.
No, but I'm seeing him around 7% too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then Peyton Hendershot. I mean, that offense rolls through tight ends. I can't imagine Carson Wentz tries to do anything different.
Guys that's a good point. Guys that you didn't mention that I like, Jonnu Smith and Noah Fant.
I like Noah Fant. I think that is a very sneaky call.
That should do it. I guess we'll be back for the playoffs. I'm sure we'll be back for the playoffs. I don't know when we'll cut that off. I mean, we're probably not doing single, you know what? It depends on what the slate looks like. You'll see us a couple more times. We appreciate everyone watching this season. Hopefully we can win the $1 million. I can shave this mustache.
There you go.
Until I'm win $1 million on DraftKings. So, all right, buddy. I'll see you next time. Feel better.
All right. Good luck. Real last question. Dortch or Vele GBP? I would go with Vele. I'm sure you would too, right? That's your boy.
I like Dortch too, though.
Oh boy, I never thought I'd ever hear you say that.
I used to say it a lot. If you're fading Cortland Sutton, if you're fading the Denver wide receivers, I would take Vele. That's what I would do.
Love it. All right. Good luck to everybody.
All right. See ya.